Hello and welcome back to Resolution Experts Incorporated, our Monster of the Week series. We are embarking on a new story, friends. And this story is going to have a little bit of a prelude. So you have spent a few months, let's say, since the last situation where you investigated the Testamento mansion in Oak Park. You have spent time in Morty's secret lair, utilizing the infirmary that he has access to. Ryder, in that few months, what's one or two things that you might have done?
I feel like after my whole incident where I saved Sarah, I've been fighting against the monstrous side of me that wants to consume more and harder. So I think he's been really focusing on like keeping himself straight and staying out of trouble.
Okay. It has been, I'm going to say it's been a challenge.
Yeah.
You've noticed the hunger manifesting more. You've noticed that, in fact, even though you've tried really hard, there have been a few times where like you went to bed and you woke up like outside. And you're like, I'm not quite sure how I got here. And one of those times you woke up outside and at a park like 3 miles from your house. And adjacent to you was a dead homeless person who is partially devoured.
Okay.
And you know, you realize that this dead homeless person was not killed by you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you feel like maybe this person had died from whatever causes, but that maybe you had stumbled upon this body and had a little treat.
Okay.
But that was still a little scary.
Yeah.
You can choose to share that with the others or keep it to yourself, but that's something that happened to you in this downtime. How about Sarah? What would Sarah, other than healing up, what would Sarah kind of be doing during this downtime?
Honestly, I feel like she was kind of getting more of like a grip with her powers and stuff, controlling them a little bit more, learning new powers, kind of just focusing on what she can do and what she can't do, or like how to bring it down a little bit or break out and do other things.
Yes, and from a meta perspective, you leveled up, right? So what new ability did you pick up?
I now have the premonitions.
Indeed,
Yes,
indeed you
yes,
do,
yes.
which will come into handy for all of you and me.
I hope so.
Okay, what would Viv be doing during this time?
So Viv would be exploring a little bit more into that family tree, that whole background that
Indeed.
that we were scratching the surface with, and kind of hitting a wall with that. So trying to ask my grandma more questions, but she's staying vague and I'm not really getting very far, which is kind of sketchy.
Do me a favor. Just make a investigate a mystery roll.
Four.
Yeah, you're hitting a wall. Your grandma keeps a lot of things in the house, but her ability to recall specific stories, especially about further back up the family tree, is a little bit hazy. I'll say that, like, you know, maybe you went online and you, like, you know, went on ancestry.com and, you know, tried to find some other resources, but it seems like you're, you know, you go back a certain length and then it kind of becomes shadowy after that. And there's a lot of like, maybe this was an ancestor kind of thing, but there's no documentation to prove it. And, you know, similar last names, similar regions from Europe, but, you know, nothing really concrete quite yet. And what would Morty be doing other than patching people up and, you know, making sure people have the right meds to ward off infections from their wounds?
I think.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. You had to give Viv a rabies shot too because of bats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what else would Morty be doing?
I think spending a lot more time in the magic lab, kind of further honing his skills, you know, or understanding.
Yes.
Certainly not to a, you know, spiritual level like, you know, Sarah or anything like that, but from a knowledge perspective,
Yes.
in hopes of using that further, you know, and I don't know, yeah. So.
And did you have any level ups or gain any new moves?
I leveled up, so I have off and right. So when a hunter comes to me for advice about a problem, I give them my honest opinion and advice. If they take my advice, they get +1 ongoing while following my advice on any rolls, and I mark an experience.
That's great, and it makes sense considering you spend a few months in deep focus studying like supernatural lore and occult lore and other kinds of esoteric knowledge. Okay, and finally, what would John Johnson be doing?
What tied in with my level up, I did some extensive medical training. I took a professional move where I've got a full medical kit that I am well versed in using. Probably along with that, avoiding certain phone calls from certain family that we didn't really complete. And so I imagine also probably trying to clear some red tape with my agency, because I'm sure that did not reflect too well upon the group.
Yeah, so about that, let's talk a little bit about More Life. I want you to make a manipulate someone roll.
That is a nat 12, but an 11 with my
Oh
charm.
my gosh.
Starting
So
strong.
lucky. I was literally going to fire you. So you go into a meeting with like your supervisor who specifically supervises your very small investigations department within More Life. He has you, basically he's like, you know what, I'm gonna bench you for a little bit, John. I feel like you've been in the field too much. I need you to just do some casework and some research for us. So you basically go into the office like 2 to 3 times a week and just spend hours doing boring
Pencil
filing
pushing.
work.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, oh, whatever. And then the rest of the time they let you work from home. Which, as we all know, working from home is a challenge. So
Best
you
case
struggle with
scenario.
your own sanity, your own, you know, your feelings of isolation. But it's made better by the occasions where you maybe spend a day at Morty's, you know, working on your medical stuff and kind of using his infirmary to like practice your techniques while he's like in the other room, you know, diving into deep dives on these deep books and historical accounts of different folklore and supernatural stuff. And then you get a phone call, John Johnson.
Okay.
It's an unlisted number, but your phone surprisingly does not say probably a scam call.
I'll answer it. It's normal. It's been months, right? You know, it could be.
Is this John Johnson?
This is.
Mr. Johnson, my name is Francis Sarno, and your work has come to my attention. Your work with More Life. I run a private investigations firm, and I was wondering if we might be able to perhaps meet up for some coffee.
Certainly.
I'm in Chicago for the next 2 days.
Or would you like to meet?
He lists a place. It's not far, and you meet up with him for coffee, presumably.
I'll
Okay.
meet with him.
You go to the place, and you see a man kind of sitting off on the side. He's an older man, bald with like a white beard and mustache, and kind of a black coat, polo shirt, just sort of business casual. You notice that he's got like a New York Times paper in front of him and a cup of coffee. When you also notice that he's in kind of the back of the coffee shop. He has his back to the wall, and when you walk in the door, he looks up from his newspaper, folds it in half, and he gives you like a greetings.
Okay. I'll go over to him and sit down.
He's like, Mr. Johnson, Francis Sarno. He shakes your hand. He says, my organization recruits capable investigators who have a proven track record of being able to investigate or research and ultimately resolve problems. We're a private firm, privately funded, relatively small in terms of personnel, but we do international work. Discretion is the biggest part of what we do. Your work with More Life came to my attention because there's a certain professional rivalry that we have with a few other organizations. I was impressed with your work. I'm aware that you have other associates that you work with on what I would call more of a freelance basis. Am I correct in this assumption?
That is correct.
He says, we would like to give you a job. Speaking as a freelance position, think of it as a means of testing the waters to see if you and your associates would be good candidates for full-time employment with my company.
And what kind of opportunities would this open up for me and my associates?
First and foremost, I believe it would give you an opportunity to advance your interests and to truly cultivate what seem to be some burgeoning talents. We're interested in recruits who show potential, and we are willing to train and help guide those recruits to more fruitful and successful careers that are rewarding. Secondly, you'll be compensated well if you are indeed recruited, and we provide not only a healthy salary, but additional benefits, full medical and life insurance.
I don't get that anymore.
I'd like to say that we offer stock options, but our company, as I mentioned, is privately funded. There are bonuses, financial bonuses, as well as other rewards, shall we say, on occasion, depending on the job and the assignment.
At any point, does he actually mention like his organization's name?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. I don't.
He says, I'd like you to present this to your associates. And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a business card and he hands it to you.
Take it.
And he says, I hope to hear from you soon. And then he stands up, takes his Wall Street Journal, and walks out the door. You look at the business card, and it says Francis Sarno, Resolution Experts Incorporated.
Nice. All right, well, I will take this back, and if we're still meeting up at Morty's base of operations, I'll relay all this information to everyone.
Yeah, you know,
Get
I mean,
groupthink.
as you guys have gotten into better health, it's not like everybody's living there, but
Call up a meeting.
but yeah, you know how to get a hold of everybody.
Yeah.
So in short order, you guys all kind of gather at Morty's sanctum. Have we come up with a name for it yet? No. The Bat Cave? No, not yet.
The Batcave.
All right, so you guys all gather. You're hanging out in
In the roost.
the kitchen, let's say, because everybody likes to gather in the kitchen.
That's where all
It's
the
all
food
yours.
is. Hi, everyone. I had a business prospect with a private investigation group that would be well compensating to us and potentially be great benefit to all of us in certain life, future goals, and experience. I've got a contact, and if it's something we feel like we want to expand our current line of work for this group, we're going to reach out and see what opportunities they have for us.
Yeah, cool.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Wait, what is this?
It's a business
It's a job.
opportunity
It's a business
for job,
opportunity.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
for line of
We're
work.
just keeping it vague.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
I'm in.
as vague as what he gave me until we actually get details. So. Don't worry, there's medical, life insurance,
insurance.
whatever it needs
What about
nowadays.
stocks?
Yeah, is there
Not
stocks?
big enough for stocks, sadly. Yeah.
To be a fly on the wall in his conversation, I think it was pretty vague. So.
Yeah. Would anyone be familiar with this private investigation group?
I think you guys could roll. All of you should roll. Roll and investigate a mystery roll. Because there's nothing better than the sound of dice.
Well,
9.
take that experience.
Did anybody get a 10 or higher?
7.
9.
9's pretty good. Okay, you find their website.
Oh.
It looks like it was designed in maybe like 1998
Nice.
using basic HTML.
And under construction.
Yeah, you go to the
logo,
source
yeah.
code and you see it's all like just straight HTML.
Yeah.
There's no JavaScripts. There's no cascading code. It's
Yeah.
and it literally has just like the logo as it presented on the business card, and it has a contact email that's like information at resolutionexpertsincorporated.com. And the tagline for the website is like, we solve problems.
Good
I'm
deal.
loving it. Tagline,
This-
yeah.
Share that with the group.
Well,
And you're like, look at this complex web page. It's literally just one, it's a splash page, that's it.
right up our alley.
Yep. This isn't a scam. This is good.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go. Let's
go
go.
for the
If everyone
bottle, yeah.
agrees to this highly,
Actually, for a
repetition.
9, I'll say that you actually go search who owns the domain name, and it comes up as Francis Giacomo Sarno.
Okay, so at least the name matches.
All matches. Share that with the group.
Well,
deal.
if everyone is in agreement to look into this venture, I'll reach out to Francis and tell him we're interested.
You call him
in
or
partnership.
text
I'll call
him?
him, yeah.
Okay, you call him.
Professional. Yeah.
He says, Mr. Johnson, I'm pleased that you've made this decision. He says, ask your friends if they can clear their schedules for a quick road trip to Michigan.
Time and place?
I would say tomorrow or as soon as possible, but I understand if you need to prepare some things. It might be a few days. I have an acquaintance, a law officer, detective within the Muskegon Police Department named Inspector Villiers, who has run into a couple unexpected problems up there.
I will.
And he will know that you're coming. He should be very cooperative, but at this point, I think he's looking for discretion. He'll explain more about the situation when you arrive.
If I'm getting his contact for the inspector,
I'll
Yeah.
text you his name and phone number.
I will gather everyone and I will reach out and let him know when we will be meeting with them.
Very good. Good luck. Click. So you guys pack up some stuff,
Yeah.
hit the road. Maybe 3.5 to 4 hours later, depending on how bad the traffic is in Indiana. You go to Muskegon, Michigan, which is a small town along Lake Michigan. It's nice, a lot of like forest preserves and little lakes and rivers and outdoorsy nature kind of places to go. And you pull into the town. The town looks like it's been around for a while, but it also looks like it's had some economic woes, perhaps. You see a fair amount of like closed down businesses. You feel like maybe because it's fall, it might be kind of a off tourist season. You know, maybe things are a little more lively in summertime, but it's kind of cooling off and it's fall sort of weather, and not a ton of people. Looks like mostly locals as you pull the big BM into town. You have the address of the police department, and you find a parking lot like across the street from the police department where you could pull the big BM in and kind of double park.
Inconspicuous as ever.
Yep. Yeah. You see like a few of the locals like looking at it and as you're driving by.
Might as well head over to the station and inquire for the Inspector Villia.
Are you just gonna go in, or all of us?
Well, I'm assuming he's expecting all of us, so we may as well be there to see what's going on. And should be aware it's a group effort.
All right.
Okay. You go in, you ask for Inspector Villiers, and a few moments later, a middle-aged man with kind of sort of like shaggy, mid-length gray hair. He's wearing like a suit. It's not like Ricardo Testamento level of money suit. It's like a working man's suit, but he comes out and he says, he's like, "You must be Mr. Johnson and your associates, I assume."
Yes, introduce everyone.
"Nice to meet you all. I'm Inspector Villiers. Please come to my office." And you notice he seems kind of like nervous, a little bit nervous. You go down a hallway. They buzz you through. You go down a hallway and you go into an office. It's not a huge office, and there are 5 of you. So like, there's like 2 chairs. So a couple people can sit down and the rest have to stand up. He goes around to his desk and you see just stacks of files on his desk, and he says, "I appreciate you being here to help us out. Muskegon is a small town. We don't often get a lot of significant homicide sort of work, but we've had a couple incidents recently. The first one was a couple months ago. Not even, maybe, yes, actually, about 2 months ago. A man had come up to go camping. I believe he is from Chicago. And he's looking through his files. He's like, "Yes, here, Mr. David Kessler, mortgage broker from Chicago. He was camping at Muskegon State Park. He was the first victim that we found 2 months ago. His body was found about 50 yards into the woods, away from where his tent had been. His tent looked like it had been torn up, and his body was found mauled, for lack of a better word, slashed, bitten, torn." And he pulls out like an autopsy file and kind of like lays that out, and you see this picture of like a pretty gruesome body.
And we're able to confirm this wasn't a bear or wildlife.
He says, "Well, your instincts are good. We're working through the theories. That's what we had assumed, because this sort of thing doesn't typically happen in the area. But three weeks ago, we found another similar situation." And he pulls another file out and he says, "This was Mr. Jack Goodman, an insurance salesman from Grand Rapids. He had come to Muskegon to do some kayaking, and in similar form, although he was staying at Duck Lake State Park, his body too was found. His tent torn open, his body was found again about maybe 100 feet. Looks like it had been dragged. And he lays out like crime scene photos. And there's, the little like tags that they put on the ground to tag different things. And you see like a random shot in the woods where it looks like some of his clothes had torn. And then he lays out the picture. And again, you see, the man's throat like torn open, slashes all over his face, his body.
Were they say like they're calculated like cuts, or is it?
No,
pretty, like,
it looks
random,
pretty. It looks pretty
brutal.
Yes. And he says, now, there certainly have been attacks occasionally, but attacks of this magnitude, and also where the victim ended up dying from these attacks, are extremely rare. We don't have grizzly bears in this part of Michigan. I mean, sometimes you'll get a small black bear. Wolves really haven't been around in much of a capacity in 100 years, and certainly not to the extent where they would go in mass into a populated campground. But I'm concerned that if this is a problem, it needs to be resolved. Now, I have been working with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources and the different park rangers at all of the state parks and the different campgrounds. And they are reviewing the limited surveillance footage that they may have. Often that's only around their park office. A few of the state parks have trail cameras, mostly for nature studies, but they are reviewing that footage now. I reached out to Mr. Sarno because there have been some rumors here around town. Now, I don't know if I really believe them, but some of the folks around town believe in scarier things, let's say. Boogeymen, folklore kind of things. I don't know that I believe that, but I would say that I'm more concerned from a criminal perspective that this isn't just random coincidences, and of deep concern that maybe we're looking at a pattern here, that this isn't an animal attack. Maybe it's some kind of serial killer.
Going through the pictures, were there any like obvious markings like that matched up between the two murders, or even like
in terms of the same areas, or
well, I guess
types of,
with the body being dragged, was there any other like footprints or like animal prints, or I guess anything left behind that anyone noticed or would be discernible?
He's showing you everything that he has in the files, and you don't
So they
see
got
any
nothing.
pattern.
All right.
Yeah. He says, now I want to help you in any way that I can so that you can help us, and I'm not sure what would help best here, but if you had more interest in the wounds beyond what our photos show, I could bring you to Dr. Hirsch at the hospital. He's the doctor that performed the autopsies.
You said the last one was 2 weeks ago.
Well, he looks at the dates. He says, no, it's more than 3 weeks ago.
So we probably can't do any spirit investigation on the corpse then. I guess Unless you think that'd be worth checking.
He says, if you'd like, I can call Dr. Hirsch, or if you want to go to either of the sites, I could
Yeah.
drive you out there.
Let's say we should probably check the sites. But do you think we should check the body, see if we get any information from it? Okay.
He's like, well, I'm afraid the bodies they're not still in the morgue. After the
Oh yeah, I
autopsies
guess at
were
that point,
performed
yeah.
and the photos were taken,
Yeah, that makes sense.
the families were allowed to claim the bodies.
If we could go to the locations then, see if we could
Certainly.
see anything, yeah.
He's like, I can get the van. You come with me.
Yeah.
Is there any more details on the rumors around town?
Well, I mean, there are certainly folks who, around town who have mentioned theories, and some of them more so than others, and I don't know how reliable they are, but yes, I mean, there are quite a few places around town that you could stop in to talk to folks, or I don't know if you needed to do any research. Our library, the Hackley Public Library, is small, but it does maintain a decent collection specific to the history of Muskegon and Michigan and this region. And of course, if you're not sure if you've picked a place to stay, but there are plenty of small motels around, but there's also the Lewis House. It's a historical building that a nice couple owns, and they turn it into a bed and breakfast.
You were our first visit, so that's your recommendation. We'll check that out.
Very, very nice place, and the proprietors are nice folks. He said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you come with me back to the front of the building? I'll go to the carpool and get one of our passenger vans, and I can take you to the parks and take you to those sites. So he walks you back to the entrance, and then you see him grab some keys from the lockup, and he goes out a side door. And now, since we are underway with this mystery, it's time for some start of the mystery rolls. Who has moves that have you do start of the mystery rolls? Okay, Viv, what's yours?
Beginning of the mystery roll plus weird to see what is revealed about your immediate future.
Splendid.
Could be fun.
7. 9.
Oh, a
So-
9.
On a 7 to 9, you get a vague hint about it.
Okay. You're standing outside, you're a few blocks from the lake, and you get this cool breeze off of the lake that kind of blows across your face. You close your eyes for a moment, the sun's hitting your eyes, and then you have this weird flash, this vision. And you see in this vision that you are saving an innocent person from a beast.
So we know it's something physical at least. That's a good start.
Are there any more details on the beast?
No, because it's a vague hint.
But that's good though, because
it's
we're not dealing with
perfect. I
spirit
wouldn't-
ghost stuff though. So that's
Do I know the person I'm saving, or is it like a complete stranger?
You don't feel so this is more of a feeling. It's not
Okay.
like a vision where you see faces, but you get like a feeling that that you need to save an innocent from a beast. And you don't know the beast, and you don't know the innocent.
I don't know the innocent as though, I don't feel like I need to be protecting any of my partners here, right?
No, you
Okay.
don't know either the
Already
beast
looking
or
at
the
to
innocent.
Throw one of us under the bus.
Okay.
never liked that Morty.
And so this is your new power, right?
new power.
Premonition. All right, read how it works. So everybody at home knows how it works.
So I roll a plus weird. On a 10, I get a detailed vision of something bad that is yet to happen. 7 to 9, I get clouded images of something bad that's yet to happen. And if I get a miss, it's not good.
What's not good? Do I get to give you the wrong information? Because that would also be good for me.
It doesn't say that. It just says you keep 3 penalties that you can dish out when I make other rolls.
Fantastic. Okay, roll and read.
Oh my gosh. All right, so
What's your weird adjuster? Or what's
2.
your
2.
plus 2?
I'm already
Plus 2.
5, 6, 7, 8.
And what's an 8?
A clouded image. I get clouded images of something bad that's yet to happen.
You are saving an individual from a beast.
You see, all right, so you're standing out there and you see a campfire and you see a girl talking to a boy. You can't make out the picture of what they look like. You just know that it's a girl and a boy hanging out at a campfire, and everything seems to be fine, and then you hear a terrible screaming sound, like the girl's screaming, and you see her being dragged into the woods.
So we're going to be hanging around some campgrounds.
I have another one. I'm not sure if this is applicable, but it says, I'm here for a reason. There's something you're destined to do. Work out the details with the keeper based on your fate. You cannot die until it comes to pass. If you die in play, then you must spend a luck point. You will then somehow recover.
This is your big fate,
Yeah,
though.
I think we worked that out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is like campaign level fate, not this little adventure.
Okay.
But in a way, it might have something to do with it. Something about that concept of saving an innocent from the beast seems more complex to you than you initially thought. Okay, so big 8-passenger police van pulls around the corner, and you see Inspector Villiers, and he beckons for you guys to come. And
All right.
you guys hop into this big van, and he starts driving, and as he's driving, he's kind of telling you a little bit about the town and, you know, some of the places to go. And he says, oh, you know, like I said, if you're looking for, you know, somewhere to stay, the bed and breakfast is a great option, or, you know, any of the local hotels are probably okay. He says some of the hotels close down in the fall, in between the summer tourist season and the winter sports season. So, but you know, he's like, I'm sure you can find, you know, somewhere to go, somewhere to stay. He says, oh, and by all means, you should have dinner tonight at the Bear Lake Tavern. It's one of our historical taverns. It was built back in 1929, and it's a beautiful place right on the lake, beautiful view of the bay, and he's driving along, and then he tells you more about, you know, how there's all these different campgrounds and hiking trails and fishing spots all around, and how, you know, that kind of the nature preserves are kind of a big draw for folks who are, you know, looking for that sort of experience when they come here. So, the first of the parks that he takes you to, he drives up to Muskegon State Park, actually, right along the lake, and, you know, he parks the passenger van. You guys get out and walk. He kind of leads you out into one of the different pockets of campsites and stuff, and he goes over to this area that's sort of a little bit remote, and you see it's a bunch of different campsites kind of in a sort of open clearing, and then woods all around. And he brings you there, and he says, so this is where Mr. Kessler was camping, and he gestures to a spot there's nothing there now. And then he says, and I could take you to where we found his body as well.
Yeah.
So he takes you, walks through the woods, and this is not like open. This is like overgrown in some parts, but you notice that there are still like ID tags here and there, and he finally gets to a spot where you see tags, planted still, and they look faded because they've been there for 2 months. And he says, and this is where we found Mr. Kessler's body.
Have any other campers in these areas reported anything unusual in these last 2 months?
No.
Okay.
No. And our initial investigations, we were initially thinking that maybe this was, as I mentioned, some kind of an animal attack. He says I don't know what you're going to get here from this crime scene because it's been 2 months, but we really didn't find anything that would point us in the direction of any specific sort of animal attack. There were no footprints, nobody really walking in here.
Were there any similarities between the two individuals, like age, just maybe descriptive?
They were both white males. Mr. Kessler was in his 40s, I believe, from Chicago. Mr. Goodman was a little bit younger. He was in his early 30s, avid outdoorsman, enjoyed kayaking. He was from Grand Rapids, Michigan. So.
You said it was pretty heavily wooded, like where the...
Yes, where you are now.
So, like, how would it be dense enough where it'd be difficult for like a larger animal or creature to like maneuver around, or is it still kind of open?
It's open enough.
Okay.
You figure like the size, anything like the size of deer maybe could probably get through.
Yeah.
And in fact, I won't even make you roll investigate a mystery. You kind of start looking around and you see not too far off from where the body was found is like a deer trail.
Okay.
Not big enough where people would be hiking on it necessarily, but certainly where animals...
overgrown.
Yeah. So after a little bit of time, he says, well, we can go to Duck Lake. We still got some sunlight here.
Yeah, that was a more recent one, right? So
Yes.
Take a look.
You guys walk back, you get in the van, you drive up to Duck Lake State Park. You stop at the gate, the ranger sees him and he waves. They obviously know each other, and you guys park, you go for a walk quite a ways, get to another campsite, and then he leads you into, again, another kind of denser set of woods. It seems like the little flags here are more fresh because they're only a little over 3 weeks old, and you see the spot, and it looks familiar because you saw the crime scene photos. He kind of shows you around.
Do we sense anything? Like Sarah and I kind of being...
Spooky feeling.
Yeah.
Sense, I'll give you an option. Those of you who want to investigate a mystery, you can roll that. Those of you who want to read a bad situation could roll that. But tell me what you're rolling before you roll it. Because
Both plus sharp, though, right?
yes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's kind of two different insights,
Right.
if you will.
Could I
right?
apply my tactical genius so I could use my cool instead of sharp for a read bad situation?
Yeah.
Just gives me one more.
You could.
Okay. I'll read a bad situation then.
Okay.
That's a 11.
I will investigate a mystery. 6, 9, 11 as well.
Okay. You're looking around, and the crime scene itself doesn't really have anything that jumps out at you. Your insight as you read a bad situation is that it doesn't make sense because you're like, whatever dragged this guy in here must have left some kind of evidence. You're not getting why
But there is none.
or how. You're like looking around and you kind of expand your search and you kind of walk off into the woods for a ways, you know, as you're kind of investigating. And kind of closer to a deer path, you see, well, you figure it's a deer path because there are more recent impressions that look like deer hooves. But then you also see like a slightly, just barely legible set of prints that look like paws, and they're pretty big.
Okay. Snap a picture.
Okay. And you just feel like that can't be good. Or maybe normal.
And is it just like the one, or can I discern it go in a certain way, or more?
It looks like the paw prints maybe like we're using this and going away from the crime scene.
Okay.
You are investigating a mystery. You're, instead of looking outward and away, you're thinking the same thing. You're like, how the hell did this thing drag this body in here without leaving any tracks, whatever it was or whoever it was? And you're thinking about this and you're like, man, it just doesn't make sense. And as you're looking up, you see something in the like 20 feet up in the tree. You see like what looks like something that raked across the bark of the tree. And then you look like at another tree that's like a good 10 to 15 feet away, and you see another set of like raking marks across the bark on that tree. And again, this is like up higher. You follow this back to the edge of the wood line where the campground is.
Okay, and the edge of the campground, it's away from the lake? Or it's
Yes.
toward, okay. Okay. Okay, cool.
So, again, you guys are there for, you know, this whole process, like driving out there, going to investigate it, and then going to the other park, going to investigate this, has taken several hours. So it's like
The rest
late
of the day.
afternoon.
Alright.
So Inspector Villiers says, well, can I drop you off anywhere in town or
Yeah, I think we've taken enough of your time for today.
Oh, it's, believe me, you're the ones that are helping me. If you want, again, I don't know if he'll still be at the hospital at this point, but if you want to meet with Dr. Hirsch tomorrow to talk to him about his thoughts, I can make arrangements for that.
Pick his brain on the marks.
Certainly, if you I can drop you off in town,
We
or
say,
back at the station if you want to get in your car.
I say I drop off, get situated on our, where we're staying, and then do you guys want to like ask around, or
Yeah, we
maybe
could,
hold off just to talk to the doctor?
we could check
for the
in at the Lewis
mortician.
house,
Yeah.
because we've had good dining experiences at bed and breakfast
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
That's win-win.
We could
When are
also
we
check
going to
out
the
the tavern.
Well, tavern's dinner, right?
The
That's,
tavern's dinner, we gotta check in though.
It doesn't
yeah. So I'd say you take us back to the station. We get
late
our
afternoon.
stuff and settle in for a long week.
Okay, he drops you off at the station. You guys go to the big BM.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go first?
I have a quick question. At the campsites,
Yes,
is there signal? Like,
that is a superb question. You have like 1 bar of signal.
okay, is there decent signal in town?
Yeah,
Okay.
in town it's okay.
Okay.
But like at certain points, like by the campsites, you had like 1 bar of signal. When you were out in the woods, there was no signal.
Okay.
It's Michigan, what do you expect?
Well, I'm just making sure.
We got the no signal trope,
So you guys get back to the big BM. Where do you want to go?
I'd say let's check in the old B&B.
Yeah, the Lewis house.
You want to go to the Lewis House Bed and Breakfast?
Yeah, that's a recommendation.
You Google Maps because you're in town and you can actually see, and you're like, okay, let's go. And you drive
nice.
down, through town, and you find this beautiful old Victorian home, like with a black wrought iron gate, and you see the lake behind it, or part, like the bay of the lake behind it. Nice old big trees. Looks like it's got a lot of space. And you see a little wooden sign that says vacancies. So you park the big BM on the street, go inside, and you're greeted by a very nice couple. They ask if they can help you. Would you like some rooms?
Yes, rooms for 5.
Oh, excellent.
And we'll be here for, well, what day is it? Anyway,
It is Tuesday.
Book it for like, what, a few days at least?
Maybe till Friday.
Yeah, we'll do for that the rest of the week then. We'll book till Friday, do 4
Okay.
days.
All right. The owners, Nick and Katie, they are happy to have you. In fact, they look like you've just made their whole week because there's not a lot of tourism right now. So they escort you upstairs, and each one of you gets your own room. They say you are more than welcome to, if you want to go shopping and grill, you're more than welcome to use the deck. You can grill out. We have a small family-owned grocery store just 3 blocks down. We will be at our house, the cottage next door. So the phone number, if you need anything, is on the refrigerator. Otherwise, we're happy to have you. Enjoy Muskegon, and of course, if you're interested, you can head into town. There are a couple places that are open. A few places are closed for the season, but certainly if you're looking for a nice dinner experience or drinks, you can head over to the Bear Lake Tavern, and we have a lot of historic buildings. You could do the historic building tour, and Katie, the wife, shows you this like little display that she has of like pamphlets of all kind of the different things around. She's got like maps of all the state parks and hiking trails and biking trails and kayak rentals and all sorts of.
So are we still like the heart of town, pretty much?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're walking.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to drive the big BM. You can literally walk to pretty much
Gas is
everywhere.
a killer.
Is there any pamphlets on like the local ghost tour or like any of the fictional kind of
There's
creepy stuff?
not so much ghost tour stuff, but there are some, like the usual tourist brochures, like Explore Muskegon, and there's like shops, dining, and among the shops you notice that there's like a Potawatomi, traditional indigenous peoples collectibles shop. There are multiple like historic buildings with little backstories and stuff, and it looks like from the brochure it looks like they're emphasizing the both the French and the Indian kind of history within the region.
Just real quick, these campgrounds aren't on like burial grounds, are they?
I was waiting for someone to ask.
Is that obvious, or are we just, is that a thing?
I'm not going to make you roll. The short answer is no. The longer answer is maybe, but not in any noteworthy way.
Okay.
Like if you want though, you could go to the library and research that kind of history of the region and the area, certainly, but like from the brochures you don't get the impression that any of that
No
is
known spooky, like, oh, this place is haunted.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no like shops in town.
Suddenly you
named-
hear, get out. No, just kidding.
There's no like shops in town like named like Bigfoot gifts or anything like that where they've taken like a local myth and.
No.
Okay.
there are tons of like tourist trap shops. Like so do you guys walk into town? Do you want to?
I'd say let's go to town.
Go to the tavern.
So you see
ready for the tavern,
like, on
yeah.
every block, like half of the touristy shops are like closed for the season for right now. There's like, you know, and you kind of walk by and it's all like the same like collectible tourist trap crap. But you do see, you know, a few of the other shops that are open. There's a comic shop, a pawn shop, a gas station. There's, you know, the usual stuff that you'd find in town. A couple of the restaurants and bars are closed, and not just closed, like boarded up, like they couldn't sustain business maybe. But as you're walking, kind of on your nice little lakeside walk, you are kind of coming across and you see up ahead the Bear Lake Tavern. Yeah, so you go in and it's like a very kind of rustic tavern, like wood everywhere. There's seating indoors. There's like a deck out the back that has like lake views. And you see it's a fairly decent crowd in there. There's probably like 40 or 50 people between the interior dining room and out on the deck. Looks like some people are having dinner and drinks. Some people are just having drinks. There's a bar, long old school wooden bar, you know, good and dinged up from many years of people being there. Wooden bar stools. Lots of outdoorsman kind of things, like old school fishing poles and like moose heads and deer heads, you know, like hunting things and fishing things. There's like snowshoes, you know, like there's like snowshoes mounted, you know, above the hallway that leads to the bathrooms, and lots of like wooden etched signs with like funny sayings, like, you know, if in doubt, throw it out. Just, you know, common things like that. But you walk in and you see it's pretty much bustling. There's a hostess who walks over to you and she says, "Hi, table for 5?"
Yes, please.
All right. She grabs some menus. She's like, "Right this way." She leads you over to a table that's kind of in the middle-ish of the dining room. Sits down. She says, "There we go." She's like, "Soup of the day is minestrone." And then she says, I'll be back to eat your drink orders in just a second.
All right, who wants to start charming the patrons for information?
I have a 0.
I got a -1.
I got +3 with my abilities, so let's do it.
I have 1 +1.
You have a
What's the name of the lake? Is it Bear Lake?
There are lots of little lakes around here.
You mean the lake that this
Lake
restaurant's
Michigan is
Well, yeah, but the little, it's Bear Lake Tavern.
yeah, there is a Bear Lake, yes. So you guys wait a few minutes. You notice that the bar, looks like at the bar is like kind of, you know, people in their 20s and 30s, just mostly having drinks and stuff. The bartender's like a younger looking guy, kind of handsome, rugged looking, and he's kind of flying back and forth, you know, but also friendly and talking to people as if he kind of knows most of the people at the bar. The waitress comes back and she's like, "Okay." She's like, "What can I get y'all started with?" "My name's Lila, by the way." "Drinks?"
Yeah.
Take a water and a BLT.
Okay.
BLT.
She's taking your orders down. You guys give her your food and drink orders. She's like, "All right, I'll be right back with those drinks." She walks away and she goes over to the bar and you can see she's telling, you know, she's like, "John, give me a blah, 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 and 3 waters." And so whatever your drink orders are. And then she puts her ticket in the window to the kitchen and comes back a few minutes with your drinks, sets them all out on the table. And she's like, "That food will be coming up right away, folks." And then she briskly kind of moves over to another table. And you look around and you're like, you feel like maybe they're the only 2 employees. Because you hear like a ding ding and you see the bartender like stop what he's doing, set down 2 drinks for people at the bar, go over to the window and grab like a platter with like 6 plates and run it out to a table. And between like Lila and John the bartender, like they're the only people working in the whole restaurant other than the cooks. As you guys are having your drinks and maybe waiting for your food, you notice an older man kind of walk in, and he walks in and goes directly to the bathrooms. Big build, kind of very hairy looking, like full beard, wearing one of those fisherman vests with like 8 million pockets and stuff, and like a kind of wide brimmed hat, and pants with suspenders, and like a flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up.
We gotta go meet this guy in the bathroom.
You gotta charm him.
Seems like somebody is going to the bathroom.
All right, I guess I'm going to the bathroom.
Okay. You go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be awesome if we were playing a ghost story and
Yeah.
suddenly there was a loud noise? You go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You see the guy in there. I mean, you don't go immediately, but by the time you get up and go into the bathroom, you see the guy, and you see him washing his hands in the sink. And you notice something. The water coming off of his hands is kind of pinkish. He finishes washing his hands, grabs some paper towels.
Catch anything good today?
He looks at you and he says, "No." And he turns. And you notice that, like, as he turns, like, he's got, like, twigs and, like, leaves and just crap, like, dirt kind of all over his clothing.
Manipulate.
He opens the door and starts walking out of the bathroom. You guys notice that this guy then kind of pulls up a stool sort of towards the end of the bar, like farther away from the younger people that are kind of in the middle. And he's just sitting there, like, staring at the TV above the bar.
I would go back to the table and be like, that guy was washing blood off of his hands. I'm like, I'm the guy who would know what washing blood off of your hands looks like, and that dude was washing blood off of his hands.
Would Ryder have been able to like smell blood?
I asked him
Ooh,
if
maybe
he
you
caught
would've.
anything.
Make a, let me see, what would that be? Would it be an investigate a mystery? To see if you, with your enhanced, roll an investigate a mystery for me.
Not in
Oh
the
yeah,
premise of
that
the
was
book.
a bad idea. 6.
Okay, I would say that, like, you did smell that blood,
Yeah.
and you're certain that it was blood,
Okay.
but you're not quite certain what kind of blood it was.
Okay.
Or maybe I should say, like, what kind of blood or how fresh it was.
All right.
But you're fairly certain it's blood.
It was definitely blood, and I know it's not fish blood because I asked the guy if he caught anything today, and he said no.
Correct.
So he wasn't cleaning a fish. So there's something up with that dude. He's covered in twigs. Someone needs to go and, like, maybe sit next to him. He might need, like, a new friend that wasn't me in the bathroom.
Did we see, did he drive in? Did we see if he came in on a vehicle or just walked in? I guess we're
Roll a d6. Tell me what the result is. See if you randomly saw.
1.
Nope. You were not looking out the window at the time that he pulled up.
That's fair. We can keep an eye on him. Unless someone wants to talk him up.
So you think there's some issue
You
with
guys
it?
noticed
There's
that
definitely something fish.
the young bartender who you heard Lila called John brings a can of beer, not like a mug, just a can of beer, over to the older guy at the end of the bar. And that beer is Stroh's, the beer of choice for all old men. Stroh's. So, in short order, your food arrives. Lila's like, sorry for the wait. And you're like, what do you mean? It was only 10 minutes. But she puts out the plates for you guys. Everything's actually correct. It looks good, smells good.
While she's here, can I charm, manipulate, and ask if she knows about the guy sitting in the bar?
Just ask.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what's with the big guy sitting at the end of the bar?
She goes, oh, the old guy?
Yeah.
She's like, well, that's Mark. I think his name's Mark Remley or something like that, but he's, she looks at her phone and she goes, yeah, that's about right. He usually comes in just before dusk and gets a beer. He's
regular?
Oh yeah, except on Sundays. Or if we're too busy and too loud, he doesn't come in. But on a Tuesday, basically like Monday through Thursday, he's a regular.
Okay. Is he a big hunter, you know?
Oh yeah, he hunts, he fishes, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of a, mean old fella, but he's harmless.
Is it hunting season?
For some stuff it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, maybe we'll keep an eye on this guy.
She says, well, I'll be right back to check on y'all. If you need any drinks, I'll be right back. And then she heads off and scurries over to another table.
Okay.
You hear a rousing chorus of laughter as the young people at the bar are all like talking with each other, and you see bartender John pouring out shots for the crowd of young people. And it looks like old Mark doesn't really like that. You see him, he's kind of like watching the news, and then he's finishing drinking his beer, and he puts down $2 on the bar and he walks out.
The young crowd celebrating, would we be able to discern if they're all locals or if they're like out of town too?
You're not really sure. They seem to know each other, and they seem to know the bartender.
Okay.
I will say this, that there's probably about 7 people sitting at the bar in that young crowd. 3 of them are guys, 4 of them are girls, and 3 of the 4 girls all seem to be very smiley and talkative with John the bartender.
Are we
He's
looking
a handsome dude.
This is like college young or?
No, they look like they're in their 20s maybe.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know if I said that before or if I said that,
maybe,
but they're probably in their mid to late 20s.
Okay.
So Mark is leaving at this point. Can
Yeah.
I go after him?
Sure.
And can I manipulate him? Manipulate someone?
You tell me what you want to do.
So I just want to ask him about.
What was the blood on your hands?
Yeah, so like it works better if you
but-
explain like what you want to do and then act it out, because you might not even need to make a roll.
Well, so like I wasn't in the bathroom with him. He doesn't even know that we're watching him or that I'm
Right.
watching him. So I guess I would want to ask like, hey, like heard you're a local, this incident happened. Like just curious what,
Okay, so
being
you
out
walk
in the
out.
wilderness a lot. What are your
Okay, so
Thoughts?
after he walks out, you walk out.
Mm-hmm.
You see him walking over towards a pickup truck that looks like it's probably about 25 years old, just riddled with rust. And just a bunch of crap in the back. And he's about 10 feet away from his pickup truck. So you run over.
Hey, Mark. That's your name, right?
He goes,
Hi.
who are you?
Oh, I'm from out of town, but I heard you're a local.
Yeah?
So charming.
Well, what do you want?
So I heard that you're a local, and there was some incidents that happened at the campgrounds, and you're a hunter in the area. I was just wondering, what your thoughts were on what was going on. Have you seen anything weird while you're hunting?
It says, are you a reporter or something?
No, just a
He's
curious
like, you look
tourist.
like a reporter.
No, far from it.
Says, well, I don't know if I'd seen nothing that I would say is out of the ordinary. Go ahead and make it manipulate someone.
Oh, 12.
Okay. So you feel like that last part of what he said about, I don't know if I would really say that there was anything out of the ordinary, is not true. You could tell he's holding back. Not so much lying, but definitely holding something back from you. Ask a follow-up.
Define normal, or out of the ordinary, I guess. I mean,
Great
Kind of.
manipulation right here.
Hey, the roll doesn't lie.
He says, he says,
I don't want him to get uncomfortable.
he says,
with
you
me.
swear you're not some kind of reporter or nothing?
No, I'm not. Promise.
All right, well, you seem pretty nice. Well, about 3 weeks ago, I came across a deer carcass. But it wasn't one that I shot. It wasn't one that someone else shot. And it had been torn up. I figured it was like a bear attack. Maybe wolves. I don't know.
Where was this?
A little bit to the north. Over by, he says, you swear you're not a reporter
I'm not a reporter.
and you're not a cop.
No,
Say it. Say, I am not part of the police.
I am not part of the police.
You don't work for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources?
I do not.
All right, well, listen, I got a few little hunting spots where I go that, let's just say that they're not altogether legal all the time. Some of them might be private land that nobody's using. So it was up north of town. Kind of close to the Anderson Woods Nature Preserve. That's where I found that deer carcass. But I mean, there wasn't nothing I could even salvage. I couldn't even try to get a pelt off of it. The thing had just been torn apart, gutted, shredded.
From my understanding, bears are kind of rare around here, and there haven't really been any wolves in a long time.
Well, I don't know what the hell else would do it. I mean, a knife doesn't cut like that. And you notice he's got a big hunting knife at his side. Mm-hmm. Like, he says, knives cut straighter. This thing, like I said, it just looked torn.
Was it fresh when you found it?
No. It had been there for a while. And who knows, maybe it died of natural causes and some wolves or coyotes just got to it after it had died. Who knows? But I mean, that's the only thing really that I can think of. He said, consider myself a reasonable man, but no reason to tell any of the police anything about that, because then they'd be asking me what I was doing up there. I don't
Understandable.
rightly want to get fined for hunting on private land when I don't have to.
Well, thank you for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
Do you think he told you everything?
You are very certain that you got to the root of what he was hiding.
I think he was just more concerned about like getting
The fine.
caught. Yeah, like I don't think he was necessarily doing anything sketchy other than breaking the law a little bit. But
Break it.
so I say my parting words to him and I go back inside.
He says, "What's your name?"
Vivian,
All right, Vivian. You take care of yourself.
you too, Mark.
You see he gets in his car. When the car door opens, it makes like a loud like, and then he gets in. The engine's like, and then he drives off. There's exhaust just pouring out of his car, clearly not in compliance with any sort of catalytic converter codes or. Yeah. He drives off. Smash cut back inside to you guys. You notice some people coming up to, close out their check, people who are having dinner. And Lila's ringing them up. Ding, ding, ding from the kitchen. And you see Lila's she's trying to ring up like 3 people at the front desk. And she's like, "John, can you run those to my tables, please?" And he's like, "Yeah, Lila, no problem." He grabs another tray full of plates, runs them over to the other tables. You guys, Viv comes back a few minutes later. You guys are finishing up your dinner. Do you share?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fill everyone in. So Mark was hunting about 3 weeks ago and found a weird deer carcass that he suspected like a bear, wolves had torn apart, but based off of what the police department had told us, bears are kind of rare in the area and wolves haven't really been around, but Mark didn't really have an explanation for the weird markings and how this thing was torn apart. So
And he just said it
Blood on
was
his hands.
private land north. So I wonder if we could figure out how close it was to the other 2 campsites.
Anderson Woods Nature Preserve.
Yeah, see if we can kind of get a area of these attacks.
Yeah.
maybe pull up on our phones,
Yeah.
Google Maps, just see.
Yeah.
You have signal.
Yeah, we do.
You have signal in town, yeah. Actually, there's free Wi-Fi at the Bear Lake Town.
Wow.
We're never leaving
Actually-
this place.
Your Wi-Fi is screaming. You're like, yeah, this is awesome.
BLT love.
So, as it stands, you see a few of these places. So you're kind of in this area. And then, the state campground goes north. There's a whole bunch of other campgrounds, like all over the place. State parks, different little lakes, Duck Creek, Twin Lake, White Lake, Whitehall.
What's the distance on this?
That would be great to have. Let's just say a matter of 10 to 15 minutes. That's how everybody in Michigan measures distance anyway. Oh, Wolf Lake Resort and Campground, PJ Hoffmaster State Park, Eagles Campground,
So wait,
Muskegon River Campground.
he said Anderson's Woods.
Anderson Woods is, it's north and east of town.
So can we kind of get a rough idea of like the 3 locations?
Yeah, it doesn't, it kind of seems like the first one happened closer to town because it was Muskegon State Park. And then after that, it was a little further out.
Okay.
Oops, don't look at that.
Oh,
So you guys are kind of there. Lila comes back. She's like, "Can I get you guys any more drinks, or are you ready for the check?"
let's get some pie to go.
They do have pie.
my statement stands.
I second that.
Well, in group though. So tomorrow, probably talk to the doctor, mortician, whoever. Do we want to keep tabs on Mark, Grizzly Man?
I don't think so. I
Never
mean,
answered where the blood came from. But
He's a hunter. Like, who knows? He could have been.
I mean, his truck is distinct. He's distinct, so it's like.
and he's a local, so he's bound to be back here at the tavern if you really want to question him
I'll be
again.
back tomorrow.
I say
He'll
we
be back tomorrow.
Tuesday through Thursday.
So that's kind of our leads right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe if we go back to the bed and breakfast, if the owners are around, maybe ask them.
They really
Talk
spook
with
them out,
Nick
ask
and
them about
Katie.
corpses, yeah.
We'll just get like the scuttlebutt on, the stuff has been happening in the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys, you get your check. You go up and pay, and you head out. It's like, I don't know, maybe 8 o'clock. You see most of the shops that were actually open are now closed. You walk back towards the
I'd say head back to the bed and breakfast.
bed and breakfast. Okay. So you guys make your way back. The lights, the outside lights are on, and you guys go into the house. It's gotten a little chilly as nightfall has come, but it's nice and warm in the house.
Is there
You
anyone
actually-
else staying there? Or is
No,
it literally just
no.
us?
You guys basically rented. They only had 5 rooms available, so you rented out the house.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a little on the back deck. There's one of those like fire bowls, with it's like a nicely stacked chunk of firewood there, and then there's nice little living room with books and stuff.
Maybe we go hang outside by the fire pit
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
And recap.
and recap.
So you get the fire going, sitting out there on the deck. It's a nice view, or actually not really much of a view because it's nighttime. But it's quiet.
Is this the same lake that we're sitting on right now? The same one that the state park campground?
Yes, but
Is on-
you're on the south side. That's on the north side. So
Okay.
you would have to go around it because it's like an inlet,
Yeah.
and then Muskegon's built around that inlet.
Okay.
Anything else?
Check out the books. See if there's like any history of the area.
Yep.
Okay. You actually find some. They have a mix of like books there, but you actually find a couple books that kind of go into the history of Muskegon and the area. Kind of skim through. They talk a little bit about the native Potawatomi people who lived in the area, the French explorers who came there, the establishment of trade and like a fur trade, and the early history. It mentions some of the original families who helped found Muskegon. There's actually a reference to the Bear Lake Tavern. For a while it was like a timber and that kind of thing.
Is there anything about like Potawatomi like folklore?
Yeah, there's a little bit. It gives you the basics about kind of their tribal beliefs and stuff, and it references like even now into the presence. There are a lot of people still in the area of Potawatomi descent.
I think it's worth going to the library tomorrow.
Yeah. Or
checking.
that store.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that gonna call it a night? You guys hang out for a little while.
Yeah.
The wood burns out. You put the fire out. Read some books. Settle into your rooms. Get a good night's sleep. that seems like the perfect place to take a break. So, we will be right back after this brief message from our sponsor, Coke Zero.
Well, hello, and welcome to Bill Allen World. I am Wizzy, the Wizard. I'm back once again to remind you to subscribe and click on the notifications button, and also watch videos that are over there. Tune in to the next episode of whatever show you were just watching, and watch other shows featuring Bill. He made me say that, because he's a narcissist. Okay, bye.